Hi there, guys. I'm starting this video over because I got a couple of distractions. But this video today, um, I'm going to be talking about the topic of um, Bishop Jakes and the sermon and how he offended women and the whole thing, independent women or what have you. Um, so, you all, thank you so much for listening and coming to the channel and everything. Thank you all for bearing with me. No, um, I would look cuter, but I still have this, and so I can't really do my hair, so this is kind of the best that I could do. You know. Um, but anyway, let's get into this. Okay, many women are offended, apparently. Um, I'm gonna say this. You know, some of you all know from watching my channel and being, here with me all this time, uh, some of my journey with Christianity, leaving, coming back, the whole thing, why I did it, and everything, and kind of going through that whole course of things in my life at that time. Um, I will say, since I have been back, and let me clarify though, because I never left God, never left the concept of God, higher being, source, whatever it is you want to call it, say whatever. I never left that. That was always with me, in me, and I just journeyed into some other routes of of a deeper understanding of how I could find God and see Him more in other things besides just the church, just the Bible, because at the end of the day, God is vast. I mean, we can't sit here and bottle God and say, oh, God is just in this, God is only right here, God is only with these people. And, there are some religions, beliefs, whatever, that actually do truly believe that. And a lot of times the judgment could be really, really big, really harsh. I actually grew up, once again, as some of you know, Church of Christ. And Church of Christ has a very strong um, bottom line belief that unless you are baptized into the Church of Christ, you're not saved, you're not going to heaven, you're not, whatever. However, we believe in those concepts, that is the teaching of that denomination. And so, of course, I don't believe that. I really believe, God is in everything. I think there are many ways to find God. I think there's so many ways to see God. Um, but that's neither here nor there. That's neither here nor there right now at this time. In a way, it is, but I won't get into that because it's go straight too far off of talking about this topic. First of all, let me say this: that was a Father's Day message. I was sitting right here listening to that message. Um, as a single mom, as a black woman, which, I also want to say I don't think that message was to black women, and somehow down the line that message has gotten um kind of into the streamline that he was talking about black single independent. No, he wasn't. He said women. He never said black women. He said women. That's of all colors. And as we know, the Potter's House is a ministry that is global. I was about to say worldwide. Let's just say global because it's everywhere. And so people of all races listen to this ministry. Um, So let's clear that part up first. A lot of times we think that because a minister is either white or black or Asian or whatever, oh, that's what his congregation is. And I get the fact that a lot of times you follow what looks like you follow what you connect with. But um, in the sense of, the Potter's House Ministry, you can't say it's a black church. You really can't. You can't say it's a black ministry. If we're being fair and open minded, we can't just say that. Yes, a lot of black people go there. So, uh, as I said, I sat here and I listened to that message, and uh, I was shocked when what I started seeing a few weeks ago, attendance down at Potter's House Church, and he offended women and blah blah blah. And I'm listening and I'm looking at it, and I'm just like, okay, well, I was there. I mean, I was watching it live. Like I never got offended. I'm trying to figure out like what part of that message was there an offense or anything offensive said. So let's go back and establish the fact, because I think it's very, very important. I really think it's important to say that this was a Father's Day message. At the end of the day, the man was speaking to men and fathers. Everybody, women and men, are in the church on this day and whatever. So we know women were there. He did speak on women, but the message was a Father's Day message, and it was basically at the essence of it talking about men. The sermon was called "Real Men Pour In." I remember so much of it. First of all, because it wasn't that long ago, um, and because it blessed me. I mean, I shared it to my son. It was a blessing to me. So once again, I'm confused on some type of offense because I didn't catch anything. So once I finally heard the part that they say women were getting offended on, about him saying that we're raising women to be men, I said to myself, okay, well, I'm not going to say what I said, but the first thing in my mind as I began to, like rationalize it and try to think back and everything, um, is that if women took that part out and got offended, it's taken out of context, completely out of context. Because, like I keep going back to, the sermon was about men anyway. So I'm going on, and I didn't really have to go back and listen to the sermon. I did for the sake of this video because I wanted to make sure the way that I remembered it was exactly the way that I heard it that first time and that I picked up on it. It absolutely was. Yeah, it absolutely was. So let's just get into this real quick because I don't want to make this a super long video. Um, First of all, he began talking before he got into this about Adam and Eve. Um, he talked about Adam basically bringing sin into the world, or first making the mistake because he allowed Eve to feed him. He took from the woman for his source or whatever, and that's how sin came into the world. Now, before all of that, um apparently things were in order. He was giving to her and the whole thing. The order was not um for him to give, for the woman to give to him. The sermon was called "Real Men Pour In." So he's talking about men pouring into their families, the woman, the house, the environment, the everything. Real men are givers. They sacrifice. He talked about lust and how lust takes, and a lot of people who come to you are coming to you not in love but in a spirit of lust, where they're taking from you and so forth. But here's what I say. I feel like if anybody should have been offended or found an offense or got offended or anything, it should have been men. It should have been men, because this sermon is talking about how the men have dropped the ball, how the men have allowed women to give to them, because he said something which was so true. He said something about how a man loses his self and his self-worth or something like that by allowing his wife to give him lunch money. We know right now we are in a society where there are so many women who take care of men, and they give men everything. They buy them shoes, they buy them clothes, they let them drive their car, they give them money, they all of that. Now, I get that that's a touchy spot. It's a touchy spot. But at the end of the day, we have to admit that that's not, if we're going to go through the Bible, spirituality, or whatever. Even if we go through nature, even if we go through nature, that's not the way it's designed for men or for women to be the providers, for women to give to them. I mean, it's out of order. You don't feel right. All of these things are just, it's out of place and it's out of order, and it's not the way the divine, um, the way nature intended it. And that's one thing we have to first of all admit. Whether or not you get offended because you taking care of a man, or you make more than a man and you paying all the bills or whatever, whether you get offended about that, because I get it, a lot of women do, you still have to admit, if we're going to be honest, that's not the design. That's not the way it's meant to be. But we are in a society right now where that is a lot of times the norm. Like, for real. Like, you actually have men out here, and it's getting so worse, so much worse. We're in a society right now where men actually are looking for women with money, looking for women who have degrees and all these type things to take care of them. Like, we are looking, men are out here so many times looking for women to pamper them. They just land up in the role of a woman, and they don't feel bad about it. They don't see anything wrong with it. They got uh a whole explanation for why it's like that, and why they're living like that. As a matter of fact, before I finish, um I remember years ago, this was probably, let me see, it may have been in the 2000s or something like that, like really 99, 2000, 98, something like somewhere there. I had a guy who told me basically that women had been taken care of and pampered and all these things by men all these years, and now it's men's turn. It's men's turn to sit back and let women pamper them. And I'm like, I don't know where you got that philosophy, dude. I don't know where that came from. I don't know if you made that up. I don't know if this is some group male thing that it is some philosophy. Like, I don't know where you get that, but at the end of the day, that's never been my forte. I've never been one to give men money to give me. I've never been that one. So of course that didn't go anywhere. It didn't go anywhere, especially with me. Like, I think after that conversation, if I remember, I don't even think I talked to him anymore. And I'm not judging any woman who does that or feel like, that's how her relationship is going. I'm not judging that. What I'm saying, once again, is a lot of men are out there with that type of mentality. And a lot of women have fallen into that role of being the provider and so forth. And so, getting back to Bishop Jake's message, at the end of the day, I see men that should have been and could have been more offended by him talking about the woman being their provider and men actually allowing that to happen. That's where the offense should lie. This man at the end of the day has strong business. His daughters own businesses. His wife, I'm pretty sure, owns some business. I mean, these women that are surrounded by him are not little mealy mouth, soft, you know, women who just sit back and let their husbands be. Ministry itself is it's work. Like these women, the Jake's women are able to get up and tear down a sermon in the pulpit as good as any man, like for real. So for women to get offended by him talking about independent women, at the end of the day, I truly believe if his daughters, which I think Cora, who I'm going to talk about in the next video, I think his daughter Cora, and I don't know a whole lot about her, I have to say that, except for what I've learned recently. Sarah and his wife Sarita, all of these women, if they did not have the men in their lives, I truly believe they could sustain on their own just because they are strong, they are smart, and they have businesses, they are authors, they are whatever. Why in the world would this man want to get up here and offend independent women, knowing, and he said it in many sermons, knowing that the order is broken and men are not standing up, coming up to the plate to do their part, and it's causing women to have to be strong and independent and be providers and so forth. If we go back to the sermon, which I really admonish people to do, and listen to that without the spirit of offense, without any kind of judgment and whatever else that could be in their head already, whatever whatever type of forethought may be in their head, and listen to this sermon um, in the context that I truly believe that it was delivered. Like I say, at the end of the day, if anybody should have been offended, it should have been the men, because he was on their behinds telling them, because of what Adam, the man, did, this is what this has caused, this is what has continued, and this is what is still going on. And now it's like a social and a cultural norm. And I don't mean black culture, I mean a cultural norm, because you got Hispanic men, you got white men, and everything else who also sit around, lay up on women, expect women to pamper them, expect women to. At the end of the day, the nature is broken. It is absolutely broken. It's out of order. I don't understand who started this or who first led this, whatever, about why women should be offended about that. I and let me say this last thing before I cut the video off, because like I say, I don't want to make this too long. If we go on into what he was continuing to say, he said women are like this now, strong, independent, whatever, self-sufficient, because men hurt them. That is not to say that a woman, just because she's strong, just because she's standing up, just because she's independent, whatever, she's that way because men hurt her and now she got to be that way. It's true in a lot of instances, but at the end of the day, there are strong little girls who have grown up with mothers, fathers, a stable home, a complete home, and she still want to go to college. She still want to be smart. She still want to run a company, as she should. I'm not saying anything about that. What I'm talking about is the fact that there are a lot of situations where men have hurt women, have put women in situations to where they have to go out and provide for themselves and live. A lot of single moms who have been married and in relationships and try to do this whatever quote unquote right thing with a man have been left, have been hurt, have been cheated on. And so she got to pick up. I mean, who else is going to do it? You got to take care of the babies. You got to take care of the children. Somebody got to put the lights on. Somebody got to put food on the table. And if he's not there to do it, then the woman does have to do it. And at the end of the day, she has thrown herself into a position that is not naturally meant for her to do. Not that women can't work, not that women can't teach, not that women can't do anything just about that a man can do. It's the fact that whether or not she should have to. And what has forced her and put her in the situation where she has had to is what I'm saying. Not knocking independence. Matter of fact, I think and I wish it hurts my heart when I see documentaries and I see videos and so forth of women, especially in other countries, who are not allowed to go to school, who can't go to college. They're forced to marry. You got 10, 12, 13-year-old little girls, some as young as 9, who are being made wives. And these little girls are getting pregnant and being forced and thrown into motherhood, into taking care of a man, into marriage, into so much of that is going on in societies all around America, not America, but in other countries. And sometimes it is done in America as well. Kept very hid under the rug because we know that, that's not something that America necessarily condones. It's something that, our grandmothers and great grandmothers and things like that, they got married 12, 13, 14, 15. Now, as we have gone on, that's not, thankfully, so much of a thing anymore. But in other countries, it's the norm. Like other countries, it happens every day. I saw a video of pretty much of that. These poor families, and I can't remember what country or culture it was. Seemed like it was kind of like an Arab type thing, but I can't remember exactly what culture and people it was. But these families were selling off their little girls to older men. I mean, talking about men who were old enough to be not only their grandfather, but some of them old enough to be their grandfathers. And they're selling and buying little girls to become wives. And these little girls completely are stripped of the ability to then go on and go to college or decide whether or not she wants to get married. Like she has no say in it. They're just being sold off. And this one little girl, oh my God, it broke my heart so much. This one little girl was 12. And this one little girl was, and I don't even know why they showed that part, man. I just wanted to cry. This little girl had said before, because her little sister had already been so long, little sister was like 9. Um, and this one little girl was just, she told them, she's like, if I get sold, I'm gonna kill myself. And I mean, they were interviewing her and why you don't want to and blah blah blah. And she was just like, she explained why, and it all makes sense, of course. I mean, who wants to be married to some 60, 70, even 40-year-old old man? She knows she's a kid. She don't want that for her life. I'm sure she had friends who had been sold off and things like that. And they completely cut these girls off from their family. Like that's it. They in the house having sex, taking care of this man, making babies, and you know, just being housewives. Like they are completely cut off from their friends, from their family, from everything. And this little girl was literally having to be drugged by this man and pulled away from her mama and her family. And she's crying, talking about mama no, mommy no. Oh my God. It was absolutely horrible. And that's why it's like I didn't know why they showed that. It was horrible. But at the end of the day, we know what happens all the time. And so I said that to say, as a woman, as a single mom, as a woman who's had to get out here and roll her sleeves up and just do what has to be done. Um, I'm not against at all against strong independent women, but it's not the natural order of things. It's not the natural order that women should have to be the providers and become the protectors of their family and all that. So as I close this video, the point that I want to make is that if anybody should have been offended, it should have been the men who should have been feeling bad and being offended by what he said because of what they have caused and what's going on to where women have had to do this. I think he said something else about women are not being able to be feminine because of this. And we know a woman getting out there being strong and having to do this, it takes away from her being feminine in some aspects. I mean, we understand it. We're not stupid. We get, and then you get those same men who will sit back and especially call black women unfeminine. You're not soft. You're not fragile. You're not the weaker vessel. You're not the whatever because you head a company, because you get up and go to work, because you put on man clothes and you got a man job and you're okay. If y'all aren't doing it, what is she supposed to do? You can't be strong, independent, stand up, raise kids, and all this kind of stuff, and be soft, sweet, mealy mouth and feminine. You can't do it. The two are not going to work. I'm not saying that the woman still is not a woman and she doesn't have an aspect of being feminine. I'm not saying that at all. But if these men are talking about that's the kind of femininity they want, then y'all gonna have to get up and go and do what you're supposed to do so that she can be soft, fragile, and not break a fingernail and be feminine. If that's the femininity that you want, you're gonna have to step up to the plate and give her the ability to walk in that type of femininity. All right, I'm gonna cut this video off. I went longer than I wanted to. You guys, thank you so much for listening. Thank you for watching. Please leave a comment. At the end of the day, I believe it was completely taken out of context and that he did not mean to offend any women. The offense was to the men, if there was going to be one. But even with that, I don't even see how the men could be offended with that. The men really had nothing to do but sit back, be quiet, and say amen. But somehow, men always seem to let stuff fly over and not take accountability and somehow put it on the women. And once again, we see exactly that happen. Some kind of way, men completely missed it, and now somehow it was about women on a Father's Day message, directly talking to the men about Adam. About man, y'all, leave a comment. Leave a let me know what you think. Let me know if you believe women had legitimacy to be offended. Have you listened to the sermon? Have you gone back and watched it? Let me know. Leave a comment. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the notification also so that you'll know when I upload new videos. You guys, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And until the next video, see you next time.